What up, what up? This is Ray Grand, your host, and you're listening to The Ray Grand Show, where we talk about redefining a disability and overcoming. I've been paralyzed from 22 years from bacterial spinal meningitis. I know a few things. That's right. Thank you for listening, and let's get to it. Thank you for listening, and welcome back. This is Ray Grand, your host. Yes, this is the 10 steps of the best version of yourself. I hope you enjoyed the last episode of self-awareness. And today we're going to talk about the next step, which is expressing your emotions. That's right, expressing your emotions. I really love this particular step for many, many reasons. However, I do have to apologize because I said every single week I will have a podcast, and last week I missed a week. Yes, Ray Grant is human, and I dropped the ball. So guess what? I'm going to pick it back up, and I'm going to get even stronger. I'm coming with it. You best to be ready, because when Ray Grant hits the baseball bat, it's a grand slam. So get your notepads ready. Get your mind open. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. So now, let's get into the 10 best versions of yourself. The next step, which is expressing your emotions. So emotion. So let's talk about emotion. But before we do, you know me, I like to define what emotion is. So let's define emotion. Emotion reads a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others. So what does that mean to you when I read that definition? Well, to me, it's when somebody has an emotion based off a particular event, and when somebody's in a particular mood, whether it be by themselves or somebody else. So if we went to the movies, we saw Black Panther, that was great, Black Power, etc. Love. Rest in peace to Chad. We love you. So we express that emotion. But before we go dive deep into emotion, there's a backstory, there's a backdrop, there's a foundation before we even get to the emotion. First, we have to discuss thoughts. We all have thoughts. Where do those thoughts come from? Most of the thoughts come from marketing, TV, television. The television is giving you a vision, and those thoughts get implanting in your mind, and then you begin to have certain particular thoughts based on what you watch or what you listen to. So now we got that down, the thought. So after the thought gives you a feeling. After that feeling, you feel something. And then now you have an emotion. That feeling becomes an energy in motion. Energy in motion. Emotion. So that feeling goes into emotion when the person acts it out. So when somebody is angry and they show angry in their face or their nose, like, oh, I can't stand that person. That's an energy in motion. Or, oh, I'm feeling so sad. I want to go to bed. Or I was like, oh my God, that was so funny. That was so funny. That just made me laugh. Oh my God, I think I'm going to pee my pants. You're like, wow, Ray. All my spinal cord injury people would laugh at that. So as you notice, that was a lot of energy in motion. Emotion. So I like to give an example when, let's say somebody says something to hurt your feelings. Most of the time, people may hold that in. That's called feelings buried alive. And then what happens to that person when they encounter that person, and then boom, they flip because they were holding in that feeling, And in that right particular time or right environment, that person easily outbursts with anger or some type of disgust or some type of feeling, which we'll get into later. We all have these emotions, and there are healthy ways to express emotions, and then there are toxic ways to express emotions. And so let's identify some emotions before we jump into it. So one emotion is fear, which is most people deal with a lot. But let's talk about fear. So let's say you're on top of a mountain and you step towards the edge. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to experience fear, like, oh, I don't want to fall. Is that a bad emotion or a good emotion? It's actually a good emotion, because now you understand that you need to back up so you don't fall off the ledge. That's a good emotion. But now let's say you're going to talk in front of 1 million people. And you're really fearful, like, oh, you start sweating and shaking. And is it a good emotion or a bad emotion? Well, it depends. It's most likely a bad emotion based off whether you're prepared or not. You can be nervous and fear, two different things. I usually get nervous before I talk as well, but being fearful is like having the spirit of fear, meaning you're scared, like you don't even want to do it. You're shaking, like you just don't want to do it. You're just scared. So that's the spirit of fear. So you have fear where you feel something and you're like, use your witty smarts and back up from the mountain. Then you have the spirit of fear of speaking, and you do not want to speak in front of the audience. And usually that's because of just preparation. When someone prepares and they know what they're talking about, that's a very likely chance they're going to be fearful or have the spirit of fear. They may get nervous, but they're not going to be fearful. Hope that makes sense. So another emotion is sadness. So to explain sadness, I would like to give a brief time where I felt sad, disgusted, angry, and I realized that I actually was wearing a mask and didn't know I had it on. I would usually say, I'm fine, I'm okay, all lies. And obviously, as you know, my story, and if you're a new listener, when I became paralyzed due to spinal bacterial meningitis at the age of 14, I became paralyzed from the waist down. And I was so young, I didn't really know about feelings and the power of expressing feelings and being vulnerable. So I would tuck those feelings in, and eventually they came out. And guess how they came out? You got it. They came out in sickness, and they came out with health issues, which is pressure sores, all types of physical things, the spinal cord injury. People have UTIs, pain, a lot of pain. And people are like, wow, how is expressing emotions related to pain? Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of studies that back up this as a fact, and doctors will tell you that stress is a high reason why a lot of disease develop, and that stress usually, if not all the time, comes from an emotion that can be based off a trauma or something that happened to the person that person did not express. For me, for example, I personally experienced it. And when I got my wake-up call is when my father passed away. And I realized that, wow, we all have a date. And I don't know when my date is. However, I've been pretty close to death because I was having surgery once a year. And I was not aware, remember the last podcast, of my feelings. And so this was a second layer of me being aware that there's certain things that I still haven't dealt with when it came to my feelings. And I was having surgery every single year. So enough was enough. And I said to myself, it's time to really express yourself. And I decided to write my book. My legs may be paralyzed, but my mind isn't. And I realized my most valuable asset was my mind and time. And so I wrote my book. You can check that out on Amazon as well as raygrand.com. And you can read my story and about my pains. And I express my story. And just to get really vulnerable, one of the things that I didn't realize, I wasn't aware of, that I was passive suicidal. And what does that really mean? That means my therapist in the past would say, she said, Ray, you wouldn't kill yourself. However, you don't want to be alive. So therefore, you don't eat. That's one of the things you control. So you don't necessarily eat. And so what I learned is, with my faith, when you trust God, there is not as much control as you would want, or you don't have control as much as you think, as much as I think. We really don't have control. We think we have control by our houses, our money, our jobs, and I think COVID-19 check that for all of us. So in essence, what I'm saying to you is the benefit of expressing your emotions and being vulnerable is that you lose the control that you think you have. And for me, I put my faith in God. And when I talk about God, I'm talking about the God of Israel and my Lord Jesus Christ and my Savior. He is my rock and he is my everything. For me, for someone else, I don't really know the alternative, but I know that expressing that emotion, when you let it out, you don't hold on to it. So, for example, the emotion that I was holding on to was anger, anger that I was paralyzed, sad that I was unable to walk again, disgusted that I had to use catheters to use the bathroom, and all my SCI knows all the other stuff that goes with spinal cord injuries just to live a daily life. And so I'm able to express that now to you openly and easily. However, before I would be embarrassed about it. As you can also go back to the colostomy bag, the stomach, but you can listen to that episode. I can get really vulnerable about that as well. And so what happens, I leave those emotions out, and I'm free. It's so freeing and it's liberating. Yay! I'm living my life. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so I want you to go through that process, and I'm going to give you some fundamental activities that you can go through as well, like I did, and hopefully you can benefit from it regardless of what faith you have. I think this is something helpful for everybody, and expressing your emotions helps in many ways. And one of those ways is clarity. And I always talked about the clarity, understanding, execution. It's your cue, and help individuals with disabilities that are athletes gain clarity. And as the quote would say, self-evaluation is helpful, but evaluation from someone else is essential, which is a quote from Andy Stanley. So think about that. Imagine a basketball player playing basketball and shooting, but he doesn't see himself. How is he supposed to get better if he doesn't have a coach? So that's what I do. I coach people. I motivate people. I see the best in people. I bring out the light in that person by looking at the light and just telling them the truth and asking them difficult questions. And when they answer those questions, they have to reflect on those questions and move forward on those questions and do something about it. It's working from the inside out, because there's a lot of things on the inside that we all have to work on. And when we work on those things, the best version of ourselves come out. For me, there was different layers. Like, I had to go to therapy. I went to Oklahoma State University to play wheelchair basketball. My father passed, so there was different points in my life that brought the best out of me, even though it was a loss. But in that loss, there was beauty in the ashes, and it takes a certain mindset and a perspective to see that, and that is really up to you to decide whether you want to do that or not. And I think the dangers of not expressing emotions is that one can get a disease, which could be fatal over time. And also another danger is health risks. It may not be disease, but it may be health issues. Also, relationships. The relationships that you have can be threatened and not sustained. You may lose relationships and not have a quality relationships because that person does not tell that other person how they genuinely feel. And when they avoid conflict, actually it gets worse instead of better. The benefits of expressing your emotions is when you still have conflict, but those two people or individuals, that group, become closer because of the conflict. Because there's clarity, there's understanding, and the level of execution is high because everybody is on the same page. May not agree, but is on the same page. And another benefit of expressing yourself is, like I said before, is being light. Having the lightness in your body and your mind, because you're not carrying those emotions. You're letting them go. You're expressing them, because like I said before, it's good to experience fear. It's good to experience sadness. It's good to experience disgust. However, in a healthy way where you understand the emotion and understanding it's going to leave. It's not going to stay. You're not welcome here. Bye-bye. Your time is up.
Bye, have a great time.
Your time is up. Just think about fear as being poop and it's just living inside of you. Ugh. No good. But we're on the benefit side. Forgive me. I digress. So benefits. Another benefit of expressing your emotion is that your relationships are more prosperous and your productivity increases and communication increases because you have more to say. And when you have more to say, people tend to listen because you're speaking from an authentic place. When someone speaks, they're just so authentic. Like, oh man, I like him. He's so real. Think about it. You go to sleep and you get to go to sleep being yourself. Everybody else is taken. Be yourself. Be you. And so when you're you have nothing else to worry about. You're good. And so that's another benefit of expressing yourself. So I hope all this information provides inspiration and some illumination and relevance to you so you can move forward in your life. And as you know, I'm going to give you some action steps. So hopefully you can take some actions and learn and work your way into expressing yourself. So part 1 would be, think of a memory that you remember vividly. It should come really easily to you, and write that down. And once you write that down, I want you to ask yourself, why do you think you remember this so well? And try connecting one or more emotions to this memory, whether that be sadness, fear, anger, disgust, or any emotion that you can think of. Okay, so now once you do that, I want you to try and express your memory and emotion in some way. The goal is to get it out your head. And there's 3 ways you can do that. The first way is verbally. Tell your memory to someone you know, someone that you can trust. And can you make them feel the same emotion? And then number 2 would be written. Write your memory in less than 1 page and do the emotions come out in words. Or you may be visual, which is the third and last. Express your emotion using lines and shapes. Do the emotions come out into a drawing? And those are the 3 ways to express your emotions. And I got this from Pixar, and they use this process to tell stories. Because if you notice, a lot of the Pixar movies are based on stories. And the movie that I really would recommend if you want to watch would be Inside Out, and it teaches you about emotions and how all the emotions work together and how they're so imperative and so important. It's a kids movie, however, it's really, really deep. It's really simple, but it's really, really deep. I would definitely recommend it, and I hope this was helpful. And please contact me at askray.com with any questions. And until next time, let's be the best version of ourselves and let's stay active. Ray Grant. Thanks for listening. If you like something that you heard, please leave a review. Oh, one more thing.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Love y'all.